So I'm just following on from the nail prepping video, and this one I'm going to apply a nail tip and I'm going to show you how to fit a nail foam. So I'm going to use my Revolution Nail It nail tips. So the nail tips come in all different sizes, and these ones are the natural ones. So we're starting from the littlest nail, size 10, all the way up in order to the biggest being a number 1. So to make this easier when I'm finding the right size for my clients, I number on the top here, so I know number 1 is in the first one, number 2 is in the second one, and so on. So I'm just going to find a nail tip to fit my nail. So when I'm looking to measure the size, I'm looking to see the nail tip on either side here fits perfectly on either side of my nail. So this one seems to be a little bit too big because it's overlapping quite a lot. So I know that I've just picked up a number 7, so I'm going to go a smaller size to a number 8. So I'm sliding this up and down the nail here just to see if it fits nicely. So it's only slightly too big, but I'm going to take that down a little bit. What we don't want to do is use a nail tip that's too small, so when I press it down on my nail, it's really stretching the nail tip area out, and you can see it's trying to fan when I press it on my nail. So if I pop this on my nail and it was too tight, you can actually see my nail colour changing to white there. There's too much pressure on, and if I fitted this nail, it wouldn't last as long once I've glued it on because of the pressure on the sides. It'd want to pop off. So we really need to find a nail tip that is a perfect size. So this one is just a tiny touch too big, so I'm just going to take off the sides just a little bit using my nail file just underneath. Do the same on the other side, just a tiny bit at a time. Now I'm going to check that this fits. And I'm still a little tiny bit too big on the other side, so I'm just going to take that down a little tiny bit more. And that fits a lot nicer. So to save some time before I put this nail tip on, I'm going to etch over the top and thin this area out just a little bit, so that when it comes to blending the tip in, half of the job is already done for us. Right down the sides as well. I'm just going to remove any dust. So I'm going to apply this tip using my Pure Nails brush on nail glue. And these tips have got a little well in them, so I'm aiming to apply the tiniest amount of glue along the line, just inside. And once the glue's on, I'm going to pop it on just on an angle first, so like so that when I push the nail down, if there's any excess glue, it's going to pop up this bit and I can can remove it. If I held it on an angle this side and pressed it down this way, the excess glue would be underneath my client's nail. So just want a little amount. And I'm just gonna apply all the way to the sides. And I'm gonna tilt down, finding the free edge of my nail to sit in the well. And I'm just gonna press this down. So I'm just gonna wait a second and let this middle bit stick. And once I'm happy that's stuck, I want to stick my corners down, make sure they're fully stuck down. I'm just going to let that dry for a second, and then we're going to blend in and shape this nail. So the nail glue is fully dried now. So I want to cut this nail down to the same length with my other nails. So how I like to measure is from cuticle area to tip of the nail. So I want to line these two cuticles up, following the length of this nail and where I'm going to cut here. So I'm using my nail tip cutters. You can see the shape around here for under your nail, and then they're going to cut straight up here. So I always have this bit facing towards me, so I know that I'm protecting my client's hypernicum underneath. If they have really high ones, it's not going to touch. So you're going to place your nail through. I'm just going to go for about here. I'm going to place my nail through. And just cut that. So now that I've cut the excess nail off, I'm going to shape this nail up. So I'm just going to straighten up the bottom end, free edge. And I'm also going to take away this angle here and make this straight. And I'm always holding my thumb as a protector for my client's skin. So I'm resting my nail file on the other side. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And underneath. So once I'm happy with that shape, I'm just going to remove any dust, and then we need to blend in the line here. So I'm going to use my 180 side of my file, and I'm just going to buff that in. So I don't want to concentrate on one area too much because we don't want to cause any friction burn. I'm just going to go up the nail. And the same on the other side. So as I'm going over, I'm just having a little check to make sure it's all blended in. So you just want to do this nice and gently. We don't want to cause any damage to the natural nail by overfiling and create a groove where the tip is. So that is all blended in, so I'm just going to pop some of my prep and scrub on. Just rub that over. And that's my nail tip stuck on and ready for any application. So I'll do the foam fitting next. So I have my nail foam here and I've removed my extreme length off the end. So I'm going to show you how to tailor a nail foam. These are quite rounded here, but they fit perfectly under my nail. But somebody with a square free edge, there would be a little gap left in the bottom. So when we stick this underneath, I always like to leave a little bit of a gap here for when I'm cutting the nail foam, so I don't cut through this as well. So I'm going to move this up quite a little bit, where normally I would stick it quite further down. And as always, I'm just going to roll this between my thumbs. And we're left with a nice curve there. Open your foam out. So this nail here is quite square, and you can see it slopes down a little bit more here. So to help you out a little bit more, I'm going to use a pen and try and scrape on a little bit of an idea where I want this to be cut. So if I stick this underneath his nail here, I can see there's quite a gap there. So making sure my numbers are running down the middle of the nail. You can see how wide his nail is here and here. So it's near enough the second line in on either side. So where I want to be cutting is straight up here, still keeping it a bit rounded for when we close it in. But we need to get rid of these corners to make this snug underneath. So, grabbing your scissors, I'm just going to cut a line up a little bit there, up a bit here, and I'm going to cut around this area. I don't want to make the line perfectly straight because I still need it to be a little bit curved. So I'm still going on an angle a little bit. And I'm cutting that out. So we'll check and see if this fits, or if we need to cut any more off. So I see I need to go a little bit wider here. Because it's just overlapping a little bit on his nails, so when I'm working around that with the product, it's just going to get in my way. So I'm just going to cut this side off just a little bit more, just on an angle. I'm going to sit this nice and snug. Make sure your numbers are still running down the middle, right under the nail. Then I'm going to go and close up my nail foams. Tabs on the bottom, closing the first ones and the ones underneath. closing my top tabs and then closing that up nice and neat and denny. So you can see now this little gap is now gone, and this is all flush around the nail, so that would be ready for your product.